This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now, you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. This podcast is brought to you today by Zencastr, the company we choose to use for our interviews.
I remember that first interview we had and the stress that we went through trying to find a platform that we were going to host this on.
That's where Zencastr came in. With HD video recording and studio sound quality, we were able to connect seamlessly with guests all over the world.
I love the fact that it's as easy as sending our guests a link, they click on it, and they're connected.
With automatic post-production, secured cloud backup, and automated transcripts, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast. If you want to make remote podcasting easy,
make sure you go to zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. It's your time to share your story. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're coming at you with a classic series of movies.
Dear to my heart, man.
Yep. I mean, to me, it's like, how do you not love Star Wars? But, you know, I get it. There's some people who don't. But anyway, we're talking about Star Wars, Tales of Galaxy's Edge, and the DLC Last Call. This game is made by developer ILMxLAB and published by Disney Electric Content, Inc. But if you watch the credits and everything, there's a lot of different studios who worked on it, including Oculus Studios.
Yeah, the Lucas name thrown on there, of course.
Yeah, I think if they were to list every little studio and thing that helped on the...
No, I'm not going to lie. The credits for this were some of the largest I've seen for a VR game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've talked to studios that, you know, maybe the biggest so far, just about 100. And there's easily like almost 300 names that roll by on those credits of people that worked on this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, holy shit, this was like a big project.
Even down to the orchestra, which, you know, the music in Star Wars, any Star Wars game, movie, anything is huge. And they knocked it out of the park, but you look through the credits and there's a lot of different orchestras that worked on it.
Yeah, no, the music score to me was going to be an important part because if you want that overall real Star Wars, and you mentioned it, the music is a huge factor in the movies. And that was one of the first things I thought of while I was playing it was the music score for this is just unfreaking believable.
Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park. So this game's going to come down to basically one core fundamental thing, in my opinion. If you like Star Wars, this is going to be a good game.
It won't matter.
Yeah, that's how it is for me, at least. You know, if you don't like Star Wars, this probably isn't going to be the game that gets you into that series, you know?
No,
and nor is it going to feel like what's in the game is worth it to you if you don't really care about Star Wars. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you've grown up with it, you know, to me, this is an experience that's worth it.
No, this is something, I mean, I was born in 70, so obviously I was part of the first movie coming out that dropped, and the excitement and what that offered was like, you always wanted more. You know, you always wanted to touch a lightsaber in real life, or you wanted to be as in depth as you could, but you couldn't, you know, so you were, you know, you had your little figures and your laser guns and toys and shit they sold. You keep in mind I was 8. And this game lets you kind of fulfill
a void,
a piece of you that when, you know, especially if you're like older, like, you know, you wanted more.
Mm-hmm. And there's some classic Star Wars names in this, like there's C-3PO, R2-D2.
Thank God.
There's Yoda. And it's like to go face to face with Yoda, which to go face to face with Yoda, you got to get on one knee. You know, you got to get down to his height. They do a good job making him a little.
You don't fight Yoda.
No. He's just, but just like looking at him, it's like, wow.
I took pictures of certain. I got one of R2 and C3PO towards one of the what was for me the final mission, or one of the final missions, and then Yoda I took a bunch of. But I did that. I got down on my knees and looked him in his little Yoda face, and I looked at the detail they put into him. And when Yoda was turning around and walking away, you look at the back, what would be our heels on our feet. You know, he's got like the little toenailed toe coming out the back of his foot. I mean, it just graphically. I mean, to me, it was in taking aside everything else, and you know, like it being a game and all that. Just the experience of being a Star Wars fan and being that immersed into the experience of Star Wars, because no game has ever brought me that in depth.
Yeah, you sounded like because we party chat a lot, even for single player games. If we're both playing a single player game, you know, we're party chat, see how we're feeling about similar experiences, and man, both of us sounded like little kids playing this game. I remember the first time you saw Yoda on party chat, you were like, oh my, like dude, you were freaking out.
Yeah.
And part of it's because the graphics are so good, like for being on the Quest too, the character models, the environments.
Never even crossed my mind that
it's a Quest 2 like little mobile. No, man, it's so beautiful. And so we kind of skipped ahead and everything. As you can tell, we're both Star Wars fans, so this is a game, you know, we probably
I've
enjoyed.
been a Star Wars fan since I was 9 years old. So it's like, yeah, I'm excited, you know.
So
I won't lie.
Excuse our excitement on this one will be what I say. But
so the ratings, is that what we skipped over?
Well, we also skipped over the developer, the price. We skipped over everything. Nonetheless, so
you said the developer and publisher.
Okay. So it is $24.99 on the official Oculus Quest store.
But
there's also a DLC that is must own. The game without the DLC is not a game.
Don't think of this as $24.99. This is you have to get the DLC with it, or you're going to be an angry consumer.
Yeah, so it's not a full game without the DLC. So it's $24.99 for the base game, and the DLC is $9.99, and it's currently rocking a 4.1 overall on the official Oculus Quest store, with 3,953 reviews and 2,081 written reviews. And here's the thing. Yeah. We were checking the reviews to, you know, write this down, and you pulled them up, and then I pulled them up, I don't know, 2 minutes later, and the numbers were already higher. Yep. So it seems not only that this is a game that people are still buying constantly, but they're reviewing it to the extent that within 2 minutes the numbers changed.
Yeah, and I mean, the history of it, sadly, was, you know, they released the game without the DLC.
Back in November of 2020, November 19th.
And it didn't necessarily sit well with everyone because it was short. It was real short, and seemed like something was missing. It's like, you know, they got 8% of 1 stars, and I think it mainly goes back to that time. Yeah. But if you look at anything that's been reviewed since the DLC, other than somebody who seemed to have a problem installing it, seemed to be very positive. Mm-hmm. It's actually completed the game.
Yeah, which I will say, full disclosure, even with the DLC, one could make an argument that it's still short.
I would.
Yeah, absolutely. But it feels like a complete game.
I would say 5 to 6 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
from start to finish.
Yep. Depending on your play style, you could speed run it because there's a lot of areas that you don't have to explore, but there's like more, loot and stuff. And
because you got missions, you got story type things going on, you got the challenges. You know, of course, like every game's got challenges. So after you finish the game, hey, you know, if you didn't complete all these little challenges, you can do that. But it's essentially the same.
Yeah. So even with the DLC, one could make the argument that it's still short.
I would make that argument,
but because it's Star Wars, in my opinion, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more. If it wasn't Star Wars, if this just came out and it was some new IP that's, you know, never existed before, and you got 6 hours of content out of it, you'd probably be like, meh. But there also probably wouldn't be, you know, 400 people working on it like you saw in the credits. Or however, you know, I exaggerate a little bit with that number, but there was a lot of people.
I came up with a pretty easy justification for it, though, because I'll be the first to admit, you know, I mean, I wish it was longer. I wish there was more. I don't want it to end, you know, yada, yada, yada. But So let's say it took me 6 hours to complete it. You know, what would it have cost me to watch 3 movies in a movie theater?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot more than what I paid for.
Especially counting snackies and stuff like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, don't even count that. You know, I don't want to get down that. You're right. So I mean, if you picked up 6 hours of visual content that you sat in line and paid for,
Mm-hmm.
you got your money's worth. So at least with this, you own it at the end of the day.
And it's and incomparable to a movie too, because this is a complete immersive experience, and it's a game.
You're in it.
We haven't really emphasized this yet, which we'll get to pretty much everything about this throughout this episode, but this is an open world game, basically. Like,
I'm gonna argue that.
Well, not open world in the sense of
you're not free flowing nothing.
Well, it's linear, but you can go travel anywhere in the world at any time.
Yeah,
unless until you discover them.
When I kind of like we said with Sandbox, if I see open world, I just assume I can go and walk around anywhere and do anything, and you only have like certain areas you can actually go to. Once you're there, yeah, you can, but you're never going to go farther than that. It's like
well, every open world game has a limit of map
where
area.
GTA is.
Yeah, but I'd argue it's open world because there's a lot of
we'll let
different
people decide on that, but I will not use the word open world with this game.
So nonetheless, there's different areas you can travel to.
Yeah,
and in each area, it's
a world
of
somewhere in the Star Wars universe there.
Yeah, where I think your hesitancy with open world comes in is you're not going to go into these areas and there's not going to be little side quests and random people to talk to and like different interactive things. In each little environment, there's pretty much just enemies to kill, loot to find, and your mission checkpoint.
Yeah.
Or you could go back there and just kill people and loot more and find, your extra missions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can see your hesitancy on the open
I'm
world.
old school, man. You start dumbing down the term open world, then it's going to change. And then like games like Fallout, that's open world.
Yeah,
right?
But here's the thing. It's like, so I grew, I love Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
That's absolutely an open world game. But that is, it's absolutely open world. No question. And that's very similar in that sense. The game ends when it's over, so you can't even keep playing it when it's done. Every map area has a very limited
I'll
travel
give you that.
search.
It's just
So
when I hear open world,
it's not GTA style open world where the whole fucking world's alive and
vast. Not to me they're just mission areas.
Yeah, but
just you go to Batuu. It's
okay,
like
so
you're gonna
so
do
you
a
have
mission.
you have main quests, you have some side quests.
Yeah.
You
some
have
challenges,
some extra challenges, and then some things that they call tales.
Yep.
So you can kind of do those in your own order as well. You don't have to do, example, all the tales first, or the main quest first, or the DLC first. You can kind of do them in your own order as well.
Yeah, I did them.
So it's
however
not exactly linear in that sense either. I'd argue it's open world.
I did mine however they threw them at me, and I was shocked when we had started playing, and I was like, "What mission are you on?" And you told me, and I'm like, "Well, that's weird. I don't even have that one yet. How the hell are you? How are you even doing that one?" And then, so I just did them in whatever order they popped up in.
Yeah. So what I did when I played it is I did the whole main quest first, and then I did the tales, and then I did the DLC, and then there was the last tale. Yeah. So tales are basically, oh man, in this game you play as an unnamed droid repair technician that's like hovering above Batuu in the Outer Rim, and you're smuggling some cargo. Some shit goes down. Your shit gets shot down. You're getting chased by pirates. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah, don't plot it too much.
But you basically crash land on a planet Batuu, and then you enter a cantina. That's where you get your missions. And there's this big guy named Dscruffles, who's the shit. Dscruffles awesome. He's funny. It's like typical Star Wars corny humor. In his cantina, there's a jukebox that you can fix that has classic.
Yes, you can.
What?
That's a challenge.
Yep.
You just spoiled it for somebody. If you haven't done it,
Okay, I apologize.
Now you know how.
Okay,
it's all good.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't tell them how to repair it though, but you got to repair it. It's pretty straightforward. You get that request. But Dscruffles will be the one that introduces you to what they call tales. So tales are stories that aren't played as the droid repair technician. There's two Tails that are as a Jedi. This girl named Addie. You know, the first parts. I won't give any more spoilers. Stratus is gonna slap me if I do one more. So two of the stories are with Addie, and then one of the stories you play as a assassin droid IA-88, which is one of the most badass elements of the game. But the Tails are completely different gameplay styles as well. Like exactly that. One you're a Jedi, one you're a droid. It's very cool how they changed the gameplay aspect of it. I know you loved IA-88 a lot. You've actually gone back and replayed that one, even.
Oh yeah, no, it was just a change of pace from the, I didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So, just the way they put it together, you feel huge.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you're just looking through your visor as a droid, and it's like, I guess either the person you're talking to is, but you're huge, and you roll so smooth.
Yeah, and man,
you feel like an assassin droid when you're playing this. It's my favorite level.
Yeah, especially, the gameplay is one thing because it's the gameplay is
locked on freaking guns.
Yeah, normally when you're playing as the unnamed droid repair technician, it's a shooter. You aim and you shoot just like any VR shooter. Nothing special, different, anything like that. Just shoot. But when you're the droid, it like locks on to people and you just fire the trigger and. Oh man, it's just
see your assassin droid arms for a second.
Yeah.
No, that is absolutely my favorite, and there's just something about it that feels like.
Well, what I love about that mission is because the dialogue in it. I love Star Wars droid dialogue.
Humor?
Yeah, it's so like blunt and it's such dry humor. They knocked it out of the park.
I call it the
Mr.
Spock humor.
Yeah,
it's just that pure logic humor. It's funny.
Yep, they did a great job with it. So yeah, you have your Tails that you get through Dscruffles, and then you have your main quest, and then you have the DLC quest. So what happens is the DLC quest, if you've started up a new save and you've not already beaten the game before you bought the DLC, you get the DLC quest like in your list midway through your first mission of the main quest. So I remember receiving the quest, and it changed my active mission to the DLC. It was like, head back to the cantina. And I was like, wait, it was telling me to keep exploring there. So then I changed in my journal my active mission back to my main quest. And then not 5 minutes later, I hear you like, oh, I head back to the cantina. I was like, oh, yeah. So I can see how you instantly went to the DLC.
It didn't kill the storyline or play at all.
I think you thought that you did it how it was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Because when you found out that I wasn't doing those order missions, you were like, wait, what's going on?
Nope. I was totally confused how we're...
Yeah. So I don't want to use the word non-linear either because the game goes one way. Like the story's one thing. Non-linear is not a good word, but you don't have to do the missions in specific order. No, you can kind of hop around a little bit. You can do a little bit of the main quest, maybe do a DLC, spend some time in the Tails, go back to the main quest. Me, I went, like I said, main quest, Tails, and then DLC.
Yeah. No, I don't, and it's funny because I don't think either one of us walked away with like, oh, my story felt weird.
No, it flowed very, very well.
Yeah, so however they're able to pull that off. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's the end result that matters. So they tied it up good. No, and it does, and I'm not trying to be a bully with it. Don't give spoilers, but there's a lot of little shit that they have you doing.
Hey, look, let's be real. Yeah. The game's not highlighted by the gameplay aspect as the droid repair technician. The game's highlighted by the fact that it's Star Wars and it's actually a pretty good story. Yeah. So if I go out and spoil the story, I'm kind of giving away a good part of the enjoyment of the game. So in a game like this, I think it's very big to not spoil the story.
What's funny is since you already talked about that one, I did that one just out of instinct.
Mm-hmm. Before you even got
before I even knew it was a challenge.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, let me take care of this problem.
Yeah.
No, the game rewards you for doing, like you kill shit, scrap falls or the weapon falls. They don't really have a reload system in this game. It's like your gun has to be vented if you shoot it too much.
Yeah, which is basically just don't shoot it anymore. Or no, there's a
little pullback.
Cute, cock it back.
And you'll hear the air release out of it. Little, similar mechanics to the traditional reload, but their own little, what you'd expect, I guess.
in the shooting aspect, they didn't bring anything too revolutionary, but it's fun. It works. So the gameplay as the repair technician is pretty cool because, you know, you have your holsters, so you can hold guns, and you are not married to any weapon in this game. Don't have any artificial.
You find it, it's yours.
Yeah, well, not only that, every gun has a finite amount of ammo, and you don't find more ammo for that gun. You just drop the gun and pick up a new one. So, like, you'll just have, like, a machine gun. You know, you'll get, like, I'll kill somebody else who has a machine gun. I'll be like, man, my gun's at half ammo. I'll throw that gun away, pick up a new one.
And they got some upgrades that you can do to your repair droid that, you know, give you extra holsters on your back. So you can put
or not to your repair
guns.
droid, but to your technician, you mean.
Yeah, your technician.
Your droid repair
Sorry.
technician, yeah. Yeah,
And,
that give you extra holsters, and then you have a jetpack. So you can get an upgrade that lets you go even higher with the jetpack.
Move around.
And then
all these things will be important, especially if you want to complete all the little mini challenges.
Yeah, you need to use your jetpack for the story to get to different spots. So yeah, the gameplay with the technician, you have your guns. Again, shooting in this game, very, very simple. Then you have this tool in the middle of your belt that's actually really freaking cool. There's like one spot of it's for turning screws. Then you flick the analog stick, and one spot of it's for, you know, burning things,
Torching,
and then the other spots for electricity. And this is crucial for either the story and also for just exploring and getting loot. There'll be like these like loot boxes. In order to access them, you have to use your tool and do. In some cases, it's pretty straightforward. Just unscrew. In some cases, there's a mini little puzzle, I guess you could say.
Those
but
mini puzzles were kind of cool.
Yeah, they're fun, and there's a wide variety of them as the story goes too. It's not like the same puzzle the whole way through. So, you know, that little tool is pretty cool. And then also on your left wrist, when you're the repair technician, you have 3 buttons. There's one that's for intercoms, so it'll beep. You know, you're getting a call, you got to press it, and
a little hologram message pops up.
Yep. Yeah. So it's cool. There's another button that lets you scan. So there's a lot of items, objects, you know, seeing things throughout the world that you have to scan, and then you get a journal entry for it, and that kind of goes to the challenges. The challenges will be like, scan everything in this area, scan everything in this area. So if you're a perfectionist, you want to complete all the challenges, you know, you really got to keep an eye out. And there'll be like a little orange circle on something if you can scan it.
Yeah, with a little plus sign in it.
But they are easy to miss. Like, there's obvious ones, like you'll walk in and be like, all right, there's something to scan. But if you just look like that, you're not going to find all of them. You have to really dig around. And also with your tool, too, there's some challenges that use them, like to read. There's like, I don't want to give entries, but there's one point where you're reading journal entries. And in order to access the journal entry, you have to shock it.
Yeah.
And then you also have like repair droids that you can put in your inventory, which is on your chest. You have like this huge. It
gives you a ton of inventory space.
Yeah, it's a small pouch, but a huge inventory.
Yep.
So you can grab your chest and you open it, and there's your inventory. And you can find all these different types of little mini repair droids that you can throw, and then they'll follow you and shoot, and you know, different ones do.
They're the same little ball droid that Luke was practicing.
The little training droids.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they work for you now.
And there's like a shield one. There's a bunch of different
a
ones.
bomb one, shield one, laser one.
But sometimes they'll get damaged, and then they'll come to you kind of like almost crying and droids.
Smoking and sparking.
You got to whip out your little utility tool, go to the electricity side, fucking shock it to reopen it. So the utility tool is actually really cool, the way that they use it to integrate all throughout the game with loot, you know, advancing through the plot, interacting with your little companion, little guy. So, and then the last button on your wrist is a little arrow marker thing that'll tell you where to go, to point in the direction. And you don't realize how valuable this little thing on your wrist is, those 3 buttons, until you do one of the tails, where you're the Jedi or I-88, or one situation that I'm in one of the DLCs that you're in disguise, I'll say, and you don't have it on your wrist. It's like all the points in the game that I didn't have it, I missed it a shit ton.
Really?
Yeah. 100%. Just having the waypoint arrow, like it's cool.
Yeah, some of the things that you have to accomplish to audible is pretty important, because the locations of certain things are audible and you'll hear them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away what it is.
Yeah, I'll say that this is a game that listen to the dialogue,
Yeah.
because sometimes what they give you in the mission objective is like not exact. Like if you're not paying attention, you're just like, I'll just read my journal to know what to do. You can miss it. Sometimes it'll be like C-3PO will say a line, and it's like that's very important for where to go next. So if you're just spacing out, it happened to us early in the game where we almost thought that there was a glitch because we couldn't find where to go because we were talking during party chat during the story.
Yep.
And during that moment, I was like, I was like looking at my journal. I was like, it's not really, can't figure it out. But if we had just shut the fuck up and listened,
we would have known.
Yep. So I knew at that point, anytime there's story, we can be in a party chat, but if there's story going on, we got to listen because it's actually important for the gameplay.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think some of the cutscenes I thought were a little long, but
a little redundant.
It all adds to
the Star Wars experience.
Yeah, to the whole end game, and it makes me sad that there was an end game. I guess, but
which at the end of the game when you beat it, you can still go explore and do. But there's not that much replayability there. When you beat the game, it's done. For somebody like me and you looking for that Star Wars experience, it's done at the end of the missions.
Yeah, the only pain I suffered when I finished it was, okay, I legit only had a handful of challenges left to do. Like this game's like it's gonna be over. I don't think I want to sit through the whole.
No, I wouldn't replay the story again.
Yeah,
I'd maybe an individual mission or a tale like
well,
ID8.
And what's cool is, and I don't want to crap on the replayability too bad, but they do give you any mission you start or whatever, you can go back and play it again. So
there's a missions tab.
You want to play the assassin droid, nothing but that all day long, then go for it. But it's maybe like a 20-minute mission.
Well, what's sad about the game ending? It's like, so the core game itself as the repair technician, it was fun doing the missions. Like I had fun. You could argue that the gameplay maybe could be repetitive with combat as a repair technician because it's a shooter. At a certain point, it's going to be enemies pop out, you shoot them, you explore, more enemies come out, you shoot them, but the actual gameplay as the repair technician was fun. I didn't want it to end. I wanted more missions. The gameplay as the Jedi was a shit ton of fun. That could have been a whole game. They could take that gameplay that they made.
That's real short-lived.
The tales as the Jedi really aren't long, but they made it like you use the Force, you use your lightsaber, you have some combat in it. They could take that they made and release a whole game with just that gameplay. It was so good. And then the same thing applies for I-88. Like that gameplay, if they made an I-88 game and released it, I would buy it. It was so much fun. So like when the game ends, you're like, it just seems like so much potential, and it's like I just wish that there was more. I would pay $10 more for another DLC with more tales, more missions. I would pay freaking $25 for a I-88 game. It's like the gameplay itself is so good you don't want it to end.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I guess they say leave people wanting more. So if people are going to play the game and be like you and I about it and be like, but I want more, then you probably did your job good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll still argue,
in the
don't
end,
go into this thinking you're getting 10 hours of content because you're not.
No, you're going to get 8 at the high end. It's realistically 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 is fair. For me, it was 6. I think 6 or 7.
And and I'd probably have to gig a little. Well, I know I do, on the just some of the repetitiveness, and again, I mean, I'm not taking away from the environment or the actual game, the game element, but it's like there's some repetitiveness to it that you can't ignore, I guess. Like you already know, no matter what words come out of anybody's mouth, I'm going to go and I'm going to shoot enemies, whether they're pirates or stormtroopers or whatever the case. Where they got me was when they jumped to the Jedi shit. And now this is the first time you get to experience using a lightsaber, getting a little taste of the Force. And then further on, as you take your, I guess I don't want to spoil it because they don't really advertise it as part of being the Jedi, but that whole experience you have as a Jedi that's fun but kind of short-lived. You know, I'd love to see more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily how they have it, but kind of like you were saying, you have the engine for it. So
yeah, make a whole game for it. You don't even have to really. I understand, like
the lightsaber was cool, dude.
yeah, dude. You said it yourself. You spent like a minute just sitting there,
Just held
turning
it right
on,
near
turning
my
it
face, turning it on and off in awe that,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, you know, other games have lightsabers, but they're not Star Wars lightsabers by any means. And
they don't have the polish by any means, and you feel it in every part of this game. There's polish, like even just that turning
the
on
detail, and in that one part where you see your lightsaber in all its forms, I'll say.
Yep.
That is
amazing.
mind-boggling.
And the way they have you use the Force, you know, I can understand
It
why
works.
maybe they wouldn't want to just release another DLC for $10, and they go, hey, look,
We
we'd
could get 40 for.
or we'd rather sell a $25 game, $30 game, whatever. But so do it, you know, like absolutely. Like the gameplay on it was so good. For me, I didn't run into too much of a repetitive feeling, but that could be because of the order I did my missions, because I did a bunch of the main quest, and then, you know, by the point that it would have been repetitive staying as a repair technician, spent a lot of time as not a lot, but you know, some time as the Jedi. And then I went back, I did a little bit more as the repair technician doing the DLC, and then I ended with I-88. I think maybe if I did a longer continuous time without any of the tails in between to break it up, I might have run into a repetitive feel. But I think just by chance, the way that I did the missions, I think it stopped a little bit of that feel, you know?
Yeah, no, it gave me a little bit of that Medal of Honor feeling.
Mm-hmm. You knew what was coming next.
Yeah, there's no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Where where it kind of sways me in the happier direction is like, okay, so I mean, a core element is obviously the fighting, and all the mechanics do work. I mean, they work great. Sound effects are great. Visuals is great. But some of the things that you discover and find kind of make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So even though like I might have ran into something and been like, oh my God, you know, this is just, and again, I think I even told you, I'm like, there was one point where I was like, my brain thinks this is kind of repetitive, but then they might throw something out there to kind of pique your interest and get you, like what they did with Yoda.
Yeah, but I think that they're able to get away with this so much easier because it's Star Wars too.
It's Star Wars.
Like my brain is so satisfied. You hand me a lightsaber, and I'm fucking entertained for 5 minutes to doing nothing.
I had nothing. I needed to do nothing other than hold it and just turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off.
I don't think that there's any.
I want a damn lightsaber.
Right.
That's always been like, come on.
You finish this game going, I want a whole. All right, great. In my opinion, I finished it going, great, awesome, fun Star Wars experience. Now give me a game in this game engine because it was so great. Give me a game as a Jedi, and give me a game as I-88. Like that's my ending experience, my selfish consumer experience. You know, it's like, man, to put in all that work, like designing the I-88 experience, for it to only be 20 minutes, it's like just you know,
Yeah,
it was good. It's fun though, but I don't think that there's any other series of games that could get away with wowing me so easily. Like I like Harry Potter, but you couldn't hand me a Harry Potter wand and I'd be like, woo, for 20 minutes. You hand me a lightsaber, I'm sitting there going, you know, I'm opening and shutting it, just looking for things to slash. Like, I don't know. You show me Yoda, I'll sit there, my mind will be blown.
Yeah,
you know, imagine if they had Boba Fett walk up to you, or you go in an older store, you meet Obi-Wan, or just seeing these old iconic characters in Star Wars.
You wanted Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't want Jabba the Hutt. I wanted a Hutt.
A Hutt didn't have to be Jabba, because
one of the missions take you off of Batuu. Not you, the technician. I don't want to give again too much spoilers, but basically you play on Nar Shaddaa, which I was a big fan of Knights of the Old Republic. So Knights of the Old Republic 2 featured Nar Shaddaa. That's a very crime, ridden planet. It's pretty much all
pirates and badasses
and thugs, and they've referenced in it with some funny humor. At one point when you're the droid and you're just murking through, there's one guy and he's like, "Hey, you're killing all my guards. Like it's a tough market hiring these people on Nar Shaddaa." Which, if you don't know Star Wars lore, it's just kind of a funny comment, whatever. But like, Nar Shaddaa, it's a criminal. Like, that's funny. Like, obviously it is a competitive market hiring criminals because it's nothing but criminal underlords and stuff. That's hilarious. But there's a lot of Hutts on Nar Shaddaa because Hutts are often involved in the criminal underlord and you know. But if you don't know what Hutt is, it's like Jabba the Hutt, the big slug guy.
Slug.
So as soon as I saw Nar Shaddaa, I was like, oh man, am I gonna come face to face with a Hutt? I wanted to see a Hutt in this
in real perspective, and
just because of how good they do all the character models. Like you got to give them a lot of credit for that. When it's an iconic character or something that they want to emphasize, like Yoda's the best example. You look at Yoda, your mind's blown. If I could have seen a Hutt, I probably would have stared at him for 10 minutes.
I will definitely not knock them for any visuals at all.
Yeah, they hit the wow factor good.
The sound, the visuals, the attention to detail. I mean, when I saw C-3PO, the first thing I did was like, I gotta really look at him. You know, I've never stood in front of C-3PO in person like that.
Dude, how fucking cool was it? Like when you get R2-D2.
Yeah.
Dude, I love R2-D2.
Yeah,
that's one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, he's the shit. He's the little buddy.
Come on, man. And then you're seeing him and you're like, you know what's the first thing that I thought?
What?
I was like, wow, he's a little taller than I thought. I was like, good for you, R2. You know, you're not to be messed with, you know?
That's what's cool about VR is they can put things into a scale and a
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah. It's like when you do Vader Immortal and you go face to face with Darth Vader. It's like they put Darth Vader super tall. It's intimidating. Oh man, I just
that's what you'd expect.
Yeah,
right?
so it's like R2 comes out and it's like he looks like a droid. They have the dirt. He's he's an older droid. You know, he's not sparkling shiny anymore. Ah man, they did a great job, and I don't think that there's any other series that for me personally could get away with just showing me these character models and these worlds and just and sell me.
It's cool. I mean, with how old Star Wars is now, I guess one could argue, hey, they didn't need to put any iconic characters into it at all. But to me, there's certain faces and things that are just, that's what you really want to expect.
Well, there's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't problem that they get stuck in where, like, you had said, off air, we were talking a little bit about this, and you had said that you really wish that there was the classic Cantina music. Because that's like one of the best songs in it. And the first thing that popped in my mind was I absolutely agree. Without a doubt, I wish that song was in there. But if they put that song in there, there would have been a large group of people saying, this is uncreative. You're not coming up with new music. You're just, you're just trying to appeal to the classic, blah blah blah.
Or that band that played in that Cantina. And
sadly, if they did over the top and the game was all about seeing classic characters, I would love it in the same way that if they played the classic Cantina music, I would love it because I don't have a problem with getting these, because VR is still so new. It's like, give us these classic experiences in VR. Why not if they don't exist yet? But if the game was nothing but, you see Chewbacca, then you see there'd be a large
I wanted Chewie
so bad, but there'd be a large percentage of people that would be like, it's an unoriginal story. You're just, you're taking the easy way out, which I say, if I can take the easy way out, give me these classic, put me on the Millennium Falcon, give me Chewbacca, let me see all these people. But, so it's tough. They're stuck where there's people want new experiences, but then you have people like me too that are also like, fucking give me the classics. And they do a good job appealing to both audiences in this game.
It had me wondering, like, how cool would it be if they could actually take a Star Wars movie, and I'll say the first movies that came out just because of my age, and just reported it all to a VR experience, to where you get to fight and you're playing you're playing the characters.
Well, kind of onto that, not exactly.
Many moons down the road from now, of course, but I'd love to see, because usually the movies have the best experiences, and if you could have that movie quality element in VR, then that's that's a wrap, folks.
Well, something I'm real excited to see, and people can say length of game, everything like this. At this point in time, Star Wars has 2 big titles on the Oculus Quest store. Now both struggle a little bit in length. That's Vader Immortal with Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, and then Tales of Galaxy's Edge. And they people bitch at the cost, the total cost of the 3 episodes of Vader Immortal, or the cost of Tales of Galaxy's Edge for the content, and then the length, whatever. But they're investing in VR early. Like, this is a major title with one of the biggest, fanboy followings in the world, Star Wars, and they're not waiting for VR to get big. Like they're on VR now, and I love to see that. So if any IP is gonna, be ahead of the ball and releasing these type of immersive VR experience, it's Star Wars. You're not seeing
Disney, baby.
Yeah, you're not seeing a bunch of Spider-Man or Marvel or Harry Potter or other major series aren't investing in VR in the same way Star Wars has. I would be very surprised if this is the last Star Wars experience we come to Oculus.
No, it shouldn't be.
No, it's like
no, and because they didn't give you enough of the whole Jedi experience.
And when you look at from Vader Immortal to Tales of Galaxy Edge, they're going for a little bit different niche, but it's like they're improving significantly. I'm glad to see them investing so heavily in VR and Oculus early. Not waiting for it's this news article is covering it. No, they're in. They're fully in.
I mean, you look at the players involved in this game, and it's like, so you got Lucas, you got the studio that's been around since the late 70s, early
the
80s.
ILMxLAB, all their.
You got Disney, who's been in VR since before people even knew they were doing VR. Disney had you using VR.
You have Oculus Studios cooperating with them.
They
directly.
got their hands in them. I'm telling you,
I see those credits. I see Oculus Studios executive producer Mike Doran. I'm like, oh man, the game's gonna have a special polish to it, and and you see it.
With that, but I'll make the argument too. With 300 freaking employees working on anything, I look at some of the games that we've talked to, and it's a studio of 4, and it's a freaking amazing game. And then my brain goes, well, okay, what could that guy have done with 300 people and that kind of budget? So I mean,
well,
is a great game that had 300 people working on it really a great game when somebody who had 5 work on his put out a product that's per pound probably better? So I would.
That's a good point, but I think it's impossible to do
matter?
Anything Star Wars. You could have
no.
You could have somebody dressed up in a stormtrooper outfit and walk down the street, and they would play credits for it, and it would have 200 people just because it's Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Some of the times you go through the credits, and there's a whole block of those credits that are all just LucasArts people, and it's like, did every single one of those people do something on this game, or is it just because it's LucasArts, so you got to put it.
And they're big names.
So there's partially that, but I get what you're saying as well. It's like, it should be a damn good experience for that many people working on it.
100,000,000%.
But I do understand why it's $25 base game and then $10 for the DLC. It's like there's a lot of people who worked on it, and it's a major type. You can't expect to get Star Wars full-fledged games for $10 because it's Star Wars. Like they have to license the name. There's so much going on.
They could have. I think the smart move for them would have been. They should have. I don't know what conversation took place that ever said, "Hey, let's release the game basically unfinished feeling."
Yeah, sell it for $35 on day one.
Yes, and just be like, "Here's the complete game for $34.99."
Yeah, I agree 100% on that.
I mean, you can sell games for $40 on Oculus.
It's no problem.
And the Star Wars name alone carries enough weight with me that spending $40 is not a big deal.
And I almost
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I gotta try it,
and they can get away with a little bit more just because it's Star Wars. So
how's this? What about this would be so freaking cool. Just nothing but a space fighting game, Star Wars space fighting, TIE Fighter and X-wing.
They have that. They have that in PC VR.
I'm talking
about
poor man VR.
I agree. I agree 100% on you. I agree with that statement 100%.
Working man VR.
Yes, they should. And now check this. Imagine a Jedi game, right? Okay, in spaceships. Dog fighting in space, abso-fucking-lutely, without a doubt, I agree. Yeah. But also imagine a game where you're a Jedi, right? In VR, high-def graphics, like they had in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
They have you sit or go into the Jedi Council, and you're just in a meeting, and just imagine that dialogue experience, that immersion. You're sitting in a meeting there, and there's everybody in the Jedi Council, like, dude, on Coruscant, you're just like, dude. Oh my God, there's so much potential.
I mean, it's easy to say here with no money to put on the table. They should do this and they should do that.
It's like that for anything.
Those 300 people, I don't care whether they handed over a paperclip or actually spent 100 hours, typing code. It's like each one of them's a paycheck. That's a lot of freaking people.
Yeah, so I can understand the price tag for it.
Yeah, I will not. I don't have no complaint over the price. I have, the only complaint I'd have is the way they released it initially. took them down a path with. I mean, all right, listen.
Yeah, it sucks.
If you're gonna release a game and it's got the name Star Trek in it, it better be fucking good. If you put Star Wars on a game, it better be fucking good. It's just the way it is. It's like there's an expectation that people are hardcore for certain franchises.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you mentioned Harry Potter.
I don't know why they're not in VR
Not
right
my
now,
cup of tea.
but I don't know
But
why
if they had
are.
a Quidditch game or whatever, people are going to have an expectation.
Or a spell dueling game.
And you do these people wrong, it's going to be a little brutal. And,
Mm-hmm.
In their defense, I don't know if the DLC, I don't know the whole story, man.
Yeah.
I just know how it released and how it came together. It started a little ugly. And then when the DLC dropped, even some of those old bad stars were changed to higher stars. And
Like, it feels complete now. But
yeah.
I kind of have a moral thing. And look, I love this game. I had a great experience with
Star Wars. Just, take
But-
an extra week, whatever.
Morally and fundamentally, downloadable content to me, DLC is supposed to be additional content for the end of the game. DLC isn't supposed to finish the game.
Yeah. And that was the complaint the majority had is
So
the game feels unfinished.
I agree with what your statement 100%.
Yeah.
Sell it no DLC, $135 game. Wait till it, it's better like that. The DLC is not supposed to finish a game. DLC is supposed to be additional content.
Continuation of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you have that
100%.
option. You buy the game to play it and potentially finish it. And then if you want to have extra things to do, then that's when you can get
do it.
DLC.
Yeah.
But you're not. In this case, you're kind of. And we said it at the start, you have to get the DLC.
100%.
If you buy this game for $24.99, you're going to fire off an email to one of us and be like, you guys are jerks.
No, get the DLC. Spend the $35.
Yeah. So it just, in hindsight, I would argue they should have just released it as one block and respect the fact that, and I think it is overlooked, and I don't know why anybody never thought, hey, are these Star Wars fans passionate? Did anybody even ask that question? There's certain things that you're just not going to be allowed leeway on, and an unreleased
Or unfinished
feeling or unfinished feeling game
experience.
with
Yeah.
the Star Wars name on it is not going to sit well with the community.
No. But having played it today,
Completed with DLC, yes, you have a
fun Star Wars experience.
you have
If you're a Star Wars
good
fan.
start to finish, that should give you enough of enough flavoring for your appetite
Mm-hmm.
for the Star Wars brand. And like you said, some old schools. You got people like me who are like, I didn't fucking see C-3PO. I'm pissed.
Well, no, that's me too. Like, I want these classics, but I do know there's
Which
a
makes
lot of
me
people.
happy, by the way.
I do know that there's a lot of people who, if they tried to like milk that,
Yeah,
people would be like, they're not doing anything creative.
I think the way
or-
you said it was perfect. If it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I think they did. Listen,
they did a great job balancing that.
I wanted to see Darth Vader more than I want to see Darth Vader more than I want to see Yoda. And the closest you get in this game is like
The hologram.
a little hologram.
And he is in Vader Immortal, but I will say graphically, Vader Immortal is not on the level of Tales of Galaxy Edge. It's
These
still
were some of the best graphics
on the Quest too.
I've ever seen for the Quest.
100%. They work some magic with this one.
Again, I mean, you got.
I know.
Some
you got
people are going to
40
be like, I can already hear it probably from one, but it's like, well, you're being biased, and it's like, well, you know what, man? If you buy a Ferrari, right? It says Ferrari on it. You have an expectation. So don't put Lucas' name on anything. Don't look at the voice actors.
Yeah.
They're the real deal voice actors.
Oh, okay. Look, what you're saying is you go eat at a Michelin star restaurant.
Correct.
Your expectation is that it's like a
Before
damn
you
good
even
experience.
walk in the door.
Yeah. So you're
It's the
saying
same
it says
thing with the Star-
LucasArts, it has Oculus
Yes,
Studio.
yes.
The expectation is that you're going to be a damn good
your
experience.
your standard of value before even turning it on.
Is that it's going to be a polished,
Correct.
fun,
You don't go to a
immersive.
5-star restaurant and
Mhm.
walk in the door going, well, if we gotta wait and the food sucks, it sucks.
Yep.
Like, no, that you know. And
Yeah,
Star Wars,
I get what you're saying.
and I threw Star Trek in there because that's another brand that you just don't mess with in a negative way, because you're gonna. Their own fans argue with each other over next gen, new gen.
And it looks like their Star Trek game on the Quest.
Yeah,
it got delisted. It's off the store.
Really.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I remember I wanted it a long time ago, and
I don't
you
know if
talked
that's
me out of it.
I don't know if that's
I
don't know if that's like a licensing expiring thing though. I don't know the semantics about it. I don't know everything.
All I know is I never bought it because you were the one who turned me on to the fact that like people aren't going to want to play with you if you're on a Quest 2.
Yeah, you're on the reviews. Nonetheless, different game though. You want to get into
the same passionate fan. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna
put Star Wars on it, it should be high quality.
Do it complete. I have, and thank God. I'll admit it. They nailed it with the visual expectation. They exceeded my expectation with the visual quality.
Yeah.
Didn't think that was like some of the worlds that I don't believe are open worlds that you do. They're visually stunning.
Yeah, the whole environment.
Okay, but I digress.
You want to get into our final thoughts and everything?
Fired up about Star Trek and other shit. No. I mean, no. Yeah, we can do reviews.
Yeah. So, and also, real quick before we do that, I always like to beg right before our final reviews and stuff like that. So, if you've been enjoying this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate us 5 stars on whatever platform. Apple Podcasts, whatever, Spotify. It helps. They have a rating feature on Spotify now too. So, whatever you listen on, subscribe. 5 stars. Also, go join our official, Ruff Talk VR online communities of our subreddit, which you can find the link of in our show notes, either at rufftalkvr.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/rufftalkvr. As well, you can find the link for our Discord server. Join 2 ever-growing, podcast.
Some fun things going on in Discord.
I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Took a beating.
Took a real bad beating in a game that we've reviewed before, Iron Lights.
Yep. I got to spectate it. It's cool. They give you a third-party spectator.
Yeah, we had our first ever Ruff Talk VR Iron Lights Championship. I was pretty confident going in. We had a gentleman Goose, and he beat my ass.
It was good to watch, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we set up a tournament. But, we've been talking about fitness challenges. We run giveaways, so definitely go join our online community. It's a lot of fun there. As well, you can find the links for our sponsors and our, podcast support page of our Buy Me a Coffee page, which you can donate to the podcast directly. I always like to joke. I know their impression might be that we're, got a nice professional full-time studio and all day we're making podcasts, gaming, and this is our full-time gig. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. So if you want to help make that, the case and, improve the quality of content coming your way, through videos and other such things, you can donate directly to the podcast there, either with a one-time payment or a monthly recurring,
whatever you want,
yada yada. All right, I think that's enough with the.
You know what I thought about before we go to the score though?
What?
When I was doing the Jedi thing, and I was thinking like, oh boy, it would be cool to if a side game separate from this because this game's complete, it's finished, yada yada. It's like, oh, it'd be cool to have like almost like an Iron Lights, but Jedi form.
Yeah, dude, there's so much potential with Star Wars.
So why don't they just pick up the dev from Iron Lights
and make it Star Wars?
Give him access to 299 people because he's already got the fight dynamics down.
Look, honestly, if I was...
How cool would that be, dude? Star Wars Championship tournaments?
If I was...
For real?
Dude, if I was LucasArts, I would be oversaturating the Quest store, and I would release a Star Wars racing game, a Star Wars multiplayer game, Star Wars competitive shooter.
You sent me a message the other night, Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, I would release Lego Star Wars.
I'm not a huge fan of the Lego franchise Star Wars.
I would release a Star Wars MMO. If I was LucasArts, I would say, here's the checks. Who are the developers? Like, let's oversaturate the market.
For all we know that this was really just all right, we'll shut up Harold in the office who keeps talking about this VR crap on Oculus. And we'll just give him a little bit to work with, see what he can do. 300 people cut it for you. Yeah. Okay. You get support from Oculus directly as well. Let's see what you can. And then they go, oh shit. Wow, people actually really do.
No, I think it's that. I think that they've been sold on VR internally at LucasArts and Disney for some time.
Over a decade.
I think that they're, I'll give them a lot of props for getting in early.
This is where Disney's got it smart because.
And again, if I was them, I'd be boom every genre.
This all ties into their theme park experience with the Star Wars thing, anyways.
Yeah. So it even says it in the description. It's like based off the environment shown at the Star Wars.
Yeah. So you've been to Disney World and Disneyland, and you've seen the Star Wars experience. Then just that in itself, if you're like, oh man, this will quiet my kid up for a little while. But yeah, going to the ratings. It's Star Wars. It excites me. I'm happy.
You feel like a little kid playing it. And again, even like Cieslak, who's not an iconic character by any means, he's made for this game.
I'm 50 years old, and it instantly brought me back to
A childhood feeling.
yeah, certain like smells bring back memories or
Yeah.
certain sounds or whatever, but
Felt you sounded so giddy with excitement.
just pure nostalgic.
Mhm.
Even though a lot of it's new for
Yeah.
the person who likes the older Star Wars, it's still just feeling like I was actually part of it, and that was good.
Yeah.
That
No,
was really good.
they did a great job, like I said
Made me
before,
happy, man.
balancing new experience and that classic, nostalgic Star Wars feeling.
All right,
All right.
but anyways,
So nonetheless, so in case this is your first time listening to this podcast, we break our review categories into 4 different categories, and we rate them each on a scale of 1 to 25, with a total of each 4 categories being the final score. So we have gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, and replayability. So I'll start with gameplay. I'm going to give them a clean 25 on gameplay because I had a great time just exploring. I had a great time just shooting. The environments are, that's a little bit more to aesthetics, but the environments are diverse in the way that they look. There's a lot of different things to explore, search, loot, optional. You can do a speed run, you can do extra. The gameplay might get repetitive as the repair technician, but there's a couple times in the story that, things get a little different, just that itself. And then also for the tales that are pretty much a completely different, game and experience. To me, there's enough variety and enough fun, and it was smooth enough, and I just had enough of a blast to be able to give that a clean 25 on gameplay. For aesthetics, I wish I could give them a 30 on this. They nailed the visuals. It feels almost like a PC VR game on the Quest 2. I can't explain. They did so good with the environments, the distance rendering, even like things look beautiful in the distance. There's a couple times where you're a Jedi and you're standing on a platform and you're just, man, it's beautiful. The character models, the weapons themselves, aesthetics, they deserve a perfect 25. It's not even arguable in my opinion. Functionality, I didn't have any glitches or anything like that. It had a very polished, smooth feeling from start to end. I always like to read the reviews on the Quest stores of the games that we play, and I saw some having some issues installing the DLC or getting it to load. Me personally, I did not have a single glitch or difficult. The game was smooth and functioned perfect, so I got to give them a 25 on functionality. Replayability, sadly, I got to hit them with a 10. That doesn't mean it's a bad experience by any means. If you're a Star Wars fan, you like Star Wars, this is a must-own in my opinion. But when it's done, you hit a wall. It's done. That's it. There's nothing to incentivize you to really play it again. I'll give them credit that they give you those challenges, but they're pretty repetitive challenges. It's just go explore and search this, and I don't know. There wasn't enough post game in general to justify anything more than a 10 in replayability. So 25 for gameplay, 25 for aesthetics, 25 for functionality, but 10 for replayability. I have to give them an 85. But 85 out of 100 is amazing. It can only be 15 points better. The game's a great experience. If you're a Star Wars fan, must own. $35 well spent. Awesome experience. I had a blast from start to end with both the new experiences, seeing the classics, people, the music, the environments, using a lightsaber, being a droid. I don't know. It was worth every penny to me. If you're not a Star Wars fan, it's probably just going to feel like a short experience. But, so
85.
85.
Okay.
If I did my math right, because,
Yep,
I'm
you
always
did.
scared of it, and one time I did my math wrong, and
Nope,
I never
you
know.
did. All right. So, as a lifetime lover of the franchise, I can't even tell you how many little action figures I used to have. It's not even funny.
How many dreams of playing the game like this you had as a little kid?
Not even funny. Well, when you're a little kid, and that's why it's kind of crucial, and I'm happy that I discovered Star Wars when, it first popped and I was a little kid, because you still have that imagination where you can play with a figure and, shit's real. That was your VR back then, It's like you had to put yourself in there as whatever I want, whatever. But no, I've always been a lover of Star Wars. Anything that seems to have its name on it, they seem to try. There's been a few occasions where games in the history of the Star Wars game making, but even the first coin-op Star Wars game way back in the day was the shit. It was just awesome. It was one where you could sit down in the ship. But anywho, so for this particular one, gameplay, I give it a 20. I'm, going to take all my biasm out of this. If that's even a word. There's some repetitiveness to it that I just, once it kind of fell into my head that way, it was like, all right, I already know. Doesn't matter what anybody tells me I got to do or don't do. Still fantastic, though. Aesthetics, some of the best graphics I've visually experienced overall on the Quest 2. And can't say shit about it. There was even a couple of where just the background scenery is so damn impressive looking. It's like they did a good job with the worlds and locations. Not to mention the physical detail of, some of the old friends you happen to see. So aesthetics, 25. Functionality, me too. I had no glitches, no nothing. I did see some people had problems with DLC. All I know is I installed my game. It said, do you want to install DLC? I said, yes. It said, okay. And I played. Shit happens. But for me personally, and I know for you as well, there was no issue. So 25. I was trying to explore places that you can't even go to. And that's where the game's kind of a little weird too, is like, you're not going places you're not supposed to in this game. So that's one of my challenges, open world. But replayability, harshest one I got for him is a 10. I played it. I really liked it. But why would I go back? That's the thing. It's not, it's kind of why I came up with, it'd be better if it was the actual movie and you played in the movie, because you will watch a movie again and if you could partake in it. But it's not, we're not exactly at that level of gameplay yet. I mean, if there was some other element, some new DLC or something, I'd go a little higher. Online, I don't know, but it just is what it is. So overall, they get an 80. I would agree 1,000%. If you're a Star Wars fan, you hate yourself for not playing this because it's that damn fun. To me, just the nostalgic feeling and that like I'm a little kid again, made it so much worth it. I had no part in playing this that I ever think like, oh man, you got work tomorrow, or it really did a great job in just bringing back that feeling of youthful freedom, I guess, when you're just a little guy. So hats off to them. They get an 80 from me, 85 from you, and I do hope we see more. And they did throw a big chunk at it, and I think they did a good job. And in some areas it might sound like I'm being ultra critical, but I'm not. I mean, I believe anybody could play this and be like, no, that's fair. I played it, I enjoyed it, but I can't go lower than 10 because maybe someday there'll be a new challenge or something that, or maybe they'll give you another mission. But I think the game's a wrap.
Yeah, I couldn't go lower than 10 just because they do give you those, even if they're maybe not the most replayable and fun. They give you the challenges. If those didn't exist at all, it'd be a 5.
Yeah.
But at least they gave something. You got to give at least a 10.
Listen, I plowed through the actual main game, and any remaining time was just on challenge shit, finding shit. And like you said, it's even...
Replay 8. I ate 88 one time.
What, a Disney ticket's going to cost $200. You're going to stand in line for 8 hours, get 15 minutes of a VR experience. At least this, and there's some show off factor to this. If you finish the game, and then you can therefore choose, whatever mission you want to do.
You're like, hey, yeah, you can bring a friend over. And be like, go try out the I-88 mission. Yeah,
you could definitely. Like, hey, have you ever played Star Wars in VR? Be like, no. So I mean, it's a good. I think it's great for their franchise. It's just they need to. Next time they come out of the gate, they need to be
finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do the DLC route because it shouldn't.
Or if you're going to do the DLC route, do it like you said,
additional
after a game
content
has been completed. And yes.
Yeah, not to finish the game. That's not fair.
If you like Star Wars, jeez, man.
Must own. If you don't like Star Wars, it's probably not going to be the game that sells you to it.
Wouldn't spend a penny on it.
But if you like Star Wars, it's a must own. This was a freaking childhood dream experience.
Got some show off factor to it.
Yeah, I've always wanted. When I think of VR, like. Not now that I'm, in it and I played it so much, but, back in the day when I was always wanted to try VR, it was always Star Wars was one of the first things. Star Wars and boxing were the two things that popped in my mind. It was like the most fun. So it's like, this is fulfilling a long long desire, and it's like I said before, I just hope they oversaturate the market with Star Wars. You know, give us a racing game, give us a multiplayer game. I want to do Star Wars co-op with you. So imagine if we were both Jedis, dude. I can't even.
That's the Star Wars fighting game they're gonna have. I'm just started. That's not true. I just made that up.
Well, one-on-one competitive is one thing, but a co-op game, you know, that my goodness, it's not even funny. So I hope that I'm glad to see Star Wars in VR early, and I hope they keep pumping out these titles. I hope that they're investing hard.
We shall see.
Let's see. The future is bright for Oculus VR, I think, though. Mm-hmm. And I notice I'm saying Oculus. It's Oculus VR.
Meta. It's MetaQuest.
It's just an odd transition. I can't.
MetaQuest to Oculus.
Can't accept it yet. I'm holding on with the Oculus never die attitude, you know. But anyway, anything else you want to say on this?
Nah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, I
enjoyed it.
I loved it. It was classic Star Wars. I think that there was, I will say, one mission that didn't feel very Star Warsy to me. It was in the DLC. It just felt a little bit more sci-fi-ish. You know, one of the animals had like something controlling him, and it didn't feel like a Star Wars experience. It felt a little bit more out there. But other than that, you know, and that's just me being a little critical right there. It was, for any Star Wars fan, man, great experience. Other than that, hope you've enjoyed this episode, and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, all that stuff, and check us out next week.
Have a good week.
Podcasting remotely can be a challenge. And when we first began interviewing developers, we ran into every headache imaginable.
From connection issues to video lag to sound quality performance, we knew there had to be a better platform we could use.
That's where Zencastr came in, allowing us to easily connect with guests all over the world. Zencastr is simple to use with no download needed. With studio quality sound, HD video recording, automatic post-production, automatic transcripts, and a cloud backup, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast.
If you'd like to have the same easy experience that we did for all your podcasting and content needs, then make sure to go check out zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. Zencastr, making remote podcasting easy. Hey guys, Dscruffles here. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast platform you listen to. And definitely don't forget to check out our official subreddit and join us there at r/RuffTalkVR. There you can join a community of other podcast fans, join us for some podcast meetup games, get first scoop on new episodes, interact with us a little bit directly, and more. As well, be sure to check out our official podcast supporter link, the Buy Me a Coffee link you can find right in our show notes, where you can donate to the podcast either one time, multiple times, become a monthly supporter. That way you can help us on our journey to make podcasting a full-time gig, so we can continue to bring you more great podcasting content. As well, be sure to visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes as well, where you can go and shop for different Oculus Quest 2 VR accessories, whether it's knuckle straps, lens protectors, face shields, whatever. Kiwi has you covered. So again, visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes, help support the podcast, and pick yourself up some sweet Oculus Quest 2 gear.